Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we're looking at algebraic expressions, and what I want you to know regarding this section of mathematics is that number one, it has a lot of marks. Number two, it's not complicated if you simply follow the rules. So I'll tell you a couple of things that should form part of your knowledge. I'll tell you firstly about a coefficient, and a coefficient is simply it's a number that is attached to a variable in simple terms. So when we look at this particular term, you can see that there's a number next to this variable. And what is a variable? First and foremost, a variable is supposed to be a form of alphabet or letter, if you will. So here we have a variable of y squared, here we have a variable of y cubed, and here we have a variable of y. So next to this variable, there's a number. Do you see the number? There is a number which is 7. We call this number a coefficient. And here, there is a number again. When you see nothing here, it means there's actually a 1. So the coefficient of y squared is supposed to be 1 over 4. Then the coefficient of y is supposed to be negative 6. Do you see that? Those are the things you need to know. And then there's another thing we call a constant term. And a constant term is supposed to be a number that is not attached to a variable. So when you look at this expression, you can see that there's this number. Is there any alphabet or letter next to it? No. And because there's no letter here, this means that this 2 is a constant term. All right. And then there's what we call terms. Terms are these things. You see, all of this is what you call your terms. And terms are separated by signs. Which signs? The positive and negative signs. You see that I have a sign here. It's a plus, I have a minus, I have a positive. So these terms are separated by the signs. We have this term, this term, this term, and this term, which are separated by these signs. Do you see that? So those are things that I would like you to know, and the others we'll look into as we proceed in this video. Okay, so let's get right into it. The first question we look into is this question 5, and it says to us we have to consider the expression 7y squared plus y cubed over 4 minus 6y plus 2. And then they are asking us how many terms are there in the expression. How many terms are there in the expression? Remember I said that terms are supposed to be separated by signs, and terms are made up by what is on your expression. So all of this information here makes up your terms, and your terms are separated by signs. So we'll count in between those signs to find out how many terms we actually have. So our answer is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So our answer is 4. We have 4 terms in this expression. Do you see that? You look at the separation, which is made up by the signs, and you just count in between the signs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's how you find out the number of terms. Then we go to B. B says to us, write down the coefficient of y. What is a coefficient? A coefficient is a number that is next to a variable, and a variable is supposed to be an alphabet. So in this case, they want us to find out what is the number that is next to y? All right, which is a coefficient. So we look here for y. This is y squared, this is y cubed, this is y. What is the number that is next to this y? It is -6. Do you see that? And I want you to make sure that when you answer this question, you are careful of the signs. If the number that is next to your variable is negative, you include that negative sign. You don't say the number is 6. You say the number is -6 in this regard. Do you see that? The number that is next to y is -6. So that is our answer for this particular problem, -6. Then we go to C. C says, write down the coefficient of y cubed. Write down the coefficient of y cubed. So they are asking us, what is the number that is next to y cubed? That number, guys, is 1/4. Remember that I said, if you don't see a number here, it means there's actually a 1. And we know by now that 1 is usually invincible, right? So the number, which is the coefficient of y squared, is is 1/4. That's our answer, 1/4. And then you are done answering this question. We move on now to this one. This one says, write down the constant term. Write down the constant term. What is a constant term? I said a constant term is a number on your expression that does not have any variable next to it or alphabet next to it. When we check here, 7 has an alphabet, 1/4 is an alphabet, -6 is an alphabet, but 2 does not have an alphabet next to it. So 2 is going to be our constant. There's no variable next to the 2. So that's our answer. Our answer is 2. And then you are done with answering D. Now we move on to E. E says, determine the value of the expression if y is equal to -2. Guys, if you are given that y is equal to a certain number or whatever other variable, maybe x is equal to 1, that means where you see the alphabet y, you are gonna put -2. All right, you are basically substituting y with -2. So where I see y, I'm going to put -2. All right, so let's do that. I firstly have to write down my expression. Okay, so I will write down my expression, which is y squared, or rather it is 7 y squared plus y cubed over 4 minus 6y plus 2. Right, I'm writing this as it is, and then from there I substitute y with 2. So where I see y, I'm going to put -2. So from here I will have 7 in brackets -2 squared. Do you see that this y, which is -2, is squared, plus in brackets -2 cubed divided by 4, and then minus 6 in brackets -2 plus 2. Okay, and then we simply go to our calculator. On your calculator, you just type this as it is. All right, look at how I do it on the calculator. You can try it without, but I know a lot of people tend to get the answers wrong, although you need to actually get them right when you are not using a calculator. But for now, I'm just doing this for the purpose of showing you how to use a calculator. We can do it without, okay? Plus the instruction here didn't say we shouldn't use the calculator. So I want to save time. So you'll say 7, then open bracket, minus 2, close the bracket, and then plus a fraction, this fraction, and then you open your bracket, negative 2, close the bracket, and then it is cubed divided by 4. You see that? Then we come this side, then we say minus 6 in brackets, negative 2 plus 2, and our answer is, okay, our answer is not negative 2, guys. There's something I forgot. I was supposed to square here. You see how I square? Then I say equal to, my answer is 40. So my answer is 40. Right, that's how we answer this question. Okay, now we are looking at question 6. All right. And question 6 wants us to simplify each of the following expressions fully. So these are the expressions we have, and we are expected to simplify them. So let's do that. Okay. Let's simplify our expressions. We start with the first one. So the first one, as you can see, is, yeah, I think I can just write my answer here for this first one. Or let me just do it on a larger scale. The first expression is, so this is question 6. The first expression is 2a minus 5a plus 7a is equal to, you see it. So for the first expression, what we are going to do, guys, is check if we have any like terms. And if your answer is yes, we do have like terms, that means we have to add our like terms. Okay, like terms, guys, are supposed to be variables that have the same base and the same exponents. So when I look at a and this a and this a, I can see that they are exactly the same. This is a, and what are the exponents? 1, 1, 1. So these are like terms, basically. And what you do with your like terms is to either add them or subtract them. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to add my like terms. I simply focus on the coefficients, right? And then my answer will be under the same variable, which is a. So this is what I normally do. We can do it without a calculator, guys, but like I said, most of the time you make mistakes when you don't use calculators. Where they say you should not use a calculator, please don't. But in this regard, you have the freedom to do that, or use the calculator, that is. So here I'm just going to type the coefficients as they are. I'm saying 2 minus 5 and then plus 5. The answer under the same variable of a. So what I will have is 2 minus 5 plus 7. And what do I get? I get a 4. So that means that my answer is 4. 4 of what? A. And then I'm done. I've added my like terms. In this case, I've subtracted and added my like terms. You see, all I did was to take the coefficients and their signs as they are, got the answer, then I said the answer is 4a, meaning that when I add all of these things, I remain with how many a's? I remain with 4 a's. Okay, simply say 2 minus 5 plus 7, and then you are done. let's go to part B. So here guys, I have a minus b minus 3b plus 5a. What I'm going to do here is to firstly group my like terms. Grouping my like terms means that I'm taking terms that have the same variable and putting them together. Okay, so I have a first. I look for another term that has a, and that term is plus 5a. I put it here. What comes after is negative b. Then we also have negative 3b. I've grouped my like terms. Now I can add the like terms. Okay, guys, here it's supposed to be a. I'm sorry. My bad. It's supposed to be a. So now I know there's always a 1 here, right? I'm going to add the coefficients of the variable of a. So I'll say 1 plus 5 and I get a 6. I get a 6 of what? I get a 6 of a. Because I'm adding the same thing, right? I'm adding a's. So what is 1a plus 5a? It is 6a. All right. Then I come to this side. I know there's a 1 here. So it means I have negative 1 minus 3b. I'm adding these like terms saying negative 1b minus 3b. I'm going to get a negative 4b. How do I get that? On the calculator, you simply say minus 1 minus 3 and you get a negative 4b. Do you see that? Of course, on the calculator, you can't punch the variable or alphabet, but this is how you would solve this particular problem. Let's look at another one. C. So for C, we have negative 2a squared minus, okay, this marker is running out. Let me change it. Okay, we have this in brackets. Oh, this one is also out. My word. Okay, guys, I'm having marker issues, but hopefully they'll get sorted out. So there's a bracket which has negative 7a squared. All right. And here we have to apply what we call the distributive property. The distributive property means that if we have a bracket and then there's something outside that bracket, we are going to take what is outside the bracket and multiply it with what is inside the bracket. Okay. And another thing I want you to remember, guys, are how you use a signs. If I have negative multiplied by negative, I'm supposed to get a positive, right? If I have a negative multiplied by negative, I get a positive. If I have a negative multiplied by a positive, I get a negative. All right, that's what you need to remember, because here people tend to make mistakes. All right, so what we do here, guys, for C is that this term that is not having a bracket next to it is going to be dropped down. We are not using it for now because it doesn't have to be multiplied with anything since there is no bracket next to it. Then we come this side. We can see that there's a bracket and then outside the bracket there's a negative. So we have to multiply what is outside with what is inside. Meaning that we'll say negative times negative 7a squared, and that will give us a positive 7a squared. You see that? And then from here, what are we having, guys? We are having like terms. Why are they like terms? Because we have two variables that have the same exponent. Okay, we have two similar variables which have the same exponent. So we are going to add the coefficients. All right, when I say minus 2 plus 7, I should get 5a squared. When I say negative 2a squared plus 7a squared, I should get a 5a squared. Remember, you are adding the coefficients under the same variable. Okay, so I'm saying negative 2 plus 7, and that gives me a positive 5, as you can see. So that means I have a positive 5. What? I have to write my answer under the same variable of a. So I have a positive 5a squared. All right. Let me see if I cannot resolve this marker issue.